Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dose of Common Sense. Now, if common sense is supposed to be so damn common, well, how come it seems like nobody has it? And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Dose of Common Sense. How y'all doing? We got a lot to go on tonight, so let's get with it. This just come down off the pipe. LG V30, launch date September 28th. So the V30 is going to be launched approximately about 3.5 weeks after IFA, because LG will be announcing the V30 at the start of IFA. So there is that. And right now they're talking about dual camera sensors in the back, 64 gigs of storage, 4 gigs of RAM, and a Snapdragon 835 processor. And we're still having the military specs that came with the V10 and the V20. So if I were y'all, I would pay very, very close attention to the launch. It will not have a secondary display, unlike the last two generations, which will sorely be missed. And kind of a shame in a way, because that was a defining characteristic of the V series. So I'll be paying attention to it. I'll be a little bit sad to see the second display go, even though it was kind of useless. It was still a discerning feature. So we're going to wreck a segue here. I'm sorry. We're going to go from LG straight to Apple. We got a couple of good ones right off the bat. So, guess what is the number one app downloaded on the App Store? That would be Google Play. Given that, I think that's kind of funny that the biggest download off of Apple's Play Store is, of all things, not even related to your company. So if you're interested in reading the story, although a lot of us iOS and Android people really don't care much about it, if you're interested in reading the story, the link, of course, will always be in the description. So a little bit of a funny to start off with. And speaking of one of Apple's carriers, or I am sorry, and a lot of you know that the iPad has, or excuse me, not the iPad, the iPod Shuffle and the mini iPod have been discontinued by Apple. I'm sorry to see them go, but after 15 years, yeah, progress, I guess. Next up, we have Apple has also been granted a license to conduct 5G wireless broadband trials. So this could very well be Apple's way of saying, if you all won't hurry up on the progress, we will do it for you. I'm not surprised at this. Apple has at times led and at times followed, and the reason they follow is usually a good one, because if it's on a technology that's unproven, they'll usually wait 2 or 3 generations and then follow it with something that's much better, such as VR, AR, and of course the HomePod. But it looks like that Apple is tired of waiting for the industry to come up with the next standard, and it appears like Apple's either going to help or Apple's going to lead the way in it. So I'm kind of curious to see what goes on with that. Also with Apple, not only are they leading the way in 5G, but it appears like they're also going to lead themselves right out of a fight over an old patent of theirs. So apparently Apple paid Nokia $2 billion to escape a couple of old patent lawsuits that may have been brought up. $2 billion is a very colossal sum considering the fact that Apple's already on the hook for $500 million, although they're probably going to appeal that one. And they also had a rival with Samsung in the meantime. But the settlement was originally announced back in May. Financial matters weren't disclosed at that time, but apparently it looks like that they went ahead and they paid $2 billion for a not necessarily entirely just a settlement. It is also a licensing deal. So Nokia accused Apple sometime last year of infringing on a bunch of patents. I mean, dozens. Basically, and mostly, they were owned by Nokia subsidiaries. So rather than deal with Nokia after dealing with Samsung, or still dealing with Samsung, they basically just went ahead and ponied up the lunch money and just paid Nokia off, pretty much. But apparently some of these patents also had to do with health initiatives that Apple had started or copied from Nokia, whichever way they want to go with that. But let's see what happens. Let's see if Nokia actually stays quiet or if they pay any more money to Nokia. I have a feeling that more payments may follow on this, because if they actually pay for a technical licensing deal, this may last for a little bit. So get ready. Apple may end up paying a lot more money on this one before long, that's for sure. So next up, we're going to deal with Sprint. Who else? So apparently Sprint wants Comcast to merge with Sprint. Apparently this resulted out of the 2-month executive deal that Sprint, Comcast, and Charter had earlier this year. They actually started the negotiations in May. Apparently this is just reaching news today. This was off of Wall Street Journal. But apparently this proposal is not falling on deaf ears. So Sprint could end up selling pieces of itself to Comcast and Charter, perhaps before the T-Mobile merger. I mean, Sprint does have a lot of infrastructure, and it wouldn't surprise me at all that a partial sale or even a merger of certain parts of Sprint could benefit all companies down the line. So this will be another piece of news that we watch out real close and pay very, very close attention to. But now we're going to go to OnePlus for just a minute. So there is that. Okay, so everybody remembers the OnePlus 5 and its little 911 bug. So you would call 911 and the phone would reboot, which turned out to be part of their issue, part of the open source package that came with Android, part of that issue, and part of the issue also resulted with the chip that Qualcomm puts in the phones. So apparently when they sent the update to fix the 911 bug, apparently they gave it another bug, which happened to be the battery power sucked. I mean, literally, it would suck the life out of the phone. So when you had 4.5 to 5 hours worth of screen on time before, you would have a maximum maybe of 2.5 to 3. So it looks like OnePlus is going to have to OnePlus is going to have to, they're going to end up having to sell some leverage, I'm sure. But apparently, they're also going to get another over-the-air update to fix the over-the-air update that they had to fix the 911 bug. So a fix for a fix for a fix. And no, we don't have a jelly fix yet, unfortunately. So you're going to have to wait for that. Speaking of waiting, Samsung apparently is going to release a new color, oh my god, of the Galaxy S8 and the Galaxy S8 Plus. How many colors do you have to have? Why don't you just come up with, if I'm correct on this one, didn't Huawei come out with one that was like 13? John? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So apparently they're going to come up with another color that they're only going to, it appears it's only going to roll out in Mexico first. Believe it or not, it is rose pink. About the only thing I can say on this one, at least they're not attempting to call it gold. They're just going to call it pink, which sounds about right because it looks absolutely horrible. But it's rose pink, so I guess it's supposed to be horrible to those of us who aren't used to pink phones. So there is that. Also, still within the S8 and the S8 Plus category, Amazon apparently has the unlocked version of it on their website, and it's already been knocked off. $150 has already been knocked off the price. So if you're interested in the phone, check out Samsung.com or go to Amazon.com. And if you're interested in the stories, of course, they are in the description of the show. And also in the description of the show, there is a way to contact me. If you have any questions, comments, or applications, or anything you would like me to review, please feel free to contact us at show@techfilesmedia, TEKFILESMEDIA.com. Or you can follow us on Twitter at TechFiles or TechFilesMedia. So, now that we've gone down the Samsung S8 and the S8 Plus road, we're going to make a little left-hand turn onto Verizon's road for a second. And remember that game mod, the gamepad that worked really, really well with the new Moto Z2 Force? Well, for those of you wanting it, too bad. It's a Verizon exclusive. After you get done rolling your eyes and it comes back to normal, I will follow it up with this. The pre-orders have started. So if you want the game mod and you happen to be a Verizon customer, you can pre-order the gamepad mod for the Moto Z2 Force. And thankfully the game mod does have its own battery with it, because early reviews on this phone are pretty much saying that the battery life sucks. So I guess that's what happens when you try to save a little money on a flagship product and you don't put everything from flagship specs in it. So next up is we're going to go with the absolute, how should we say this? The absolute mess that they called the Pokemon Go Fest. Well, apparently they had so many problems with the Pokemon Go Fest, a lot of people couldn't log on to it. The servers were absolutely overloaded, and it sucked for a lot of people. And apparently it sucked so bad that, well, they filed a lawsuit. And they sued Niantic, quote, because it sucked so bad. So this festival actually happened last week in Chicago, and nothing worked right at all. Servers were overloaded. It was impossible to catch any, or at least they said it was impossible to catch any. But from what I understand, about 5 million Pokemon were captured during this. There were several legendary Pokemon that weren't caught at all. So they issued refunds to all attendees. Well, apparently that wasn't good enough. So then they also gave everyone $100 worth of Pokecoins. Well, apparently for some, that still wasn't good enough. So at least 24 people have filed a lawsuit against the company, and they have hired Chicago attorney Thomas Zimmerman, if you care. Zimmerman said he was prompted into action by a gentleman named Jonathan Norton. And apparently this gentleman traveled from California to Chicago. Why? To participate in the event. I would do many, many things for things that I liked. One thing I would not do, however, is travel halfway across the country. Unless, of course, I was being paid for it. Or sponsored. It didn't matter. I actually have traveled across the country on a sponsor, but we'll get into that one later. So apparently the attorney in question argued that his clients are all the people who travel a great distance to attend the event. Why? And because Niantic didn't provide what was advertised, they deserve to have those funds reimbursed. Yeah. I do have a quote. We are not seeking any relief with respect to the failure to get legendary Pokemon because Niantic is offering that. But Niantic is not offering to refund people's travel expenses for coming to Chicago. Most of the people came from out of state. Many people from other countries. Once again, why? I talked to someone who flew in from Japan. Oh, never mind. Japan, ladies and gentlemen, if you are not aware, Japan is actually where Pokemon originally came from. So now I can understand why somebody would fly from Japan for it. Because Pokemon is cult-like in Japan, pretty much. So Zimmerman goes on to say that the people wouldn't have wasted their time and money on such an endeavor if they knew it wouldn't live up to the expectations. Guys, doesn't this happen at many events? Not just this. I mean, this is just... Honestly, I think it's a case of sour grapes on both sides. I think it's a case of Niantic overpromised and underdelivered by a metric ton. And then the people that decided to fly from wherever in the world they were at all the way to Chicago for this, guys, okay, let's do it like this. You have a cereal bowl and you want to fill it with cereal. Okay, well, the bowl can only handle so much. So if you decide to put an entire box into a bowl, a lot of it's not going to hit in the bowl. A lot of it's going to be on the table and it's going to make a mess. And basically that's what happened. Niantic overpromised and they under-delivered. I mean, low. It didn't work out well. And now they're just... Niantic screwed up, and now this seems to be screwed up. This is like one of those things when you go through McDonald's drive-thru and they sue McDonald's because they spilled the coffee. Well, the coffee's hot. Hello? Y'all are depending on servers from a computer. Computers do break, and servers can only take so many access points. You choke those access points, and you're going to end up with bupkis. Crickets. 0. Just like this. Nothing. This is what happens when too many people try to log onto the server that runs Pokemon. It sucks. So does this lawsuit. Think it over. There you go. End of speech. So, we're going to go out of the world of Pokemon, thankfully, and we're going to go into another one that I kind of cringe, but kind of don't, because this is the backbone of Google. So, apparently Google is looking for volunteer beta testers for Google+. Yeah, I know. This is one of those social networks that kind of should have died way back when. Not a lot of people really use it, but in order to use Hangouts and Hangouts on Air and a lot of Google services, you used to have to. So you'll find out if you go digging around Google Plus quite a bit, you'll find a lot of people that have accounts with Google Plus, not to mention you're automatically linked with it, but you'll find that people haven't posted there in years. I'm kind of one of them, unfortunately. But I digress. So apparently, they're looking for volunteers to beta test Google+. My hope is they take the UI and they modernize the UI. Because right now it looks like a unholy love child between Facebook and Docs. It's got documents you can download. It's got wallpapers you can download. It is completely unorganized as hell. I mean, it looks like, well, how shall I put this? If Facebook mated with Twitter and you threw every kind of timeline out the window and then degraded the UI by a factor of 50, you would come close. You wouldn't quite get there, but you would come close. It's a dumpster fire, folks. Google Plus sucks. Google Plus has sucked since the day it was created, unfortunately. So hopefully this volunteer beta test will kind of work itself out, and everybody will be happy from it. If you're interested in participating, there is a link in the show's description. By all means, check it out. So, for those of you Harman Kardon fans, Harman Kardon has been rumored to be coming out with a Cortana-enabled speaker, which is been rumored to be known as the Invoke. Well, apparently it's no longer a complete secret or a rumor because this speaker has now made its way through the FCC. So I would be looking for this speaker within the next few weeks, if not sooner than that. Apparently it's Harman Kardon's way of putting a high-performance speaker and giving it Cortana capabilities. I really haven't heard much news from or about the Cortana part of this in a long while. Probably because Alexa and Google and you name it have pretty much drowned it out in the news. This ain't going to be a Bash Bixby show, but I will say this. Other than Google Assistant, and other than Siri on a very, very good day, I'm going to say Bixby is going to end up ranking right up there with Google+. This is going to be an absolute and complete dumpster fire. I've had Bixby for a week and a half now, and I will say this. You can ask it things, and occasionally it will do them. You don't have to ask it things, and it will wake up on its own at different times of the day for absolutely no reason whatsoever. This is one of those things I wish we can disinvent. You wasted a hardware button for this. You wasted time, money, and programming for this. It sucks. It's useless. The only thing it manages to do well is put another home screen on my launcher where I don't want it. It comes from the same side that the Google Assistant comes from. And you can't call it a feed anymore because it's not a feed. It's just simply the assistant giving you. Basically, it would be what would happen if you took Google Assistant, chopped away over half of its abilities, and decided to slap it on a phone anyways. And for those who want to use Google Assistant instead of Bixby, you've managed to completely screw them and take the ability to remap the button away. This kind of defies reason. This really don't make sense. I don't know how much money they've wasted on this so far. I understand that Samsung loves to have control from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other. And sometimes they pay a whole lot more for it than what they intended to. But guys, you really, really, really need to rethink this Bixby. It sucks bad. It's a perfect imitation of a Hoover vacuum cleaner. Empty space. And I hate to be so brutal about it because I did participate in the beta, but it sucks. And the very first chance I get after this particular broadcast, I'm going to disable it. And if I have my choice, I will never use it again. I'd rather use Google Now because I know Google Now works. So there you have that. So what do you think of Bixby? For all of you who have either participated in the beta or you've actually played with it, what do you think of this application? Do you agree with me? Do you think this thing is a complete dumpster fire and should be disinvented if we can go back in time and just completely erase it? Review the show, leave a comment, and tell me that. If you agree with me or not. If you disagree with me, fine. I understand. Leave me an email, show@techfilesmedia.com. Either way, agree or disagree. I will perfectly respect your opinion. You can either tweet me at TechFiles or TechFilesMedia if you agree or you disagree. I understand perfectly. I really do. Because no matter how this goes, you will always have people that like Bixby or like Samsung, or you will always have people who hate the brand just because. I like the brand, I don't like the app. The app's a waste of time. And for those of you who like Bixby and want to be rewarded with this this point game, what were you all thinking? The most you can get on this is $20. It's a waste of time. This is it. It's a mystery. It really is. But so be it. So we're going to try to end this one on a happy note for all of you who like Blackberry and happen to be listening to me from Canada. Well, I got some good news for you. Apparently, unlocked Blackberry Key Ones will now be available at any Walmart in Canada. So, go get it. The Key One is a great phone. The only reason, unfortunately, that I don't have it right now is because, unfortunately, the chance I had for a Blackberry, I kind of bought it for my brother. He needed the phone. So, there is that. But it's an awesome phone. It really is. I would get it. If you're listening in Canada right now, and if you are listening in Canada, it's way too late to go. But go sometime on Saturday and pick yourself up a Key One if they have it available. You might not be able to get one right now because I'm sure the second this story went, everyone flocked to the Walmart and bought it. Go to Walmart.com. They can have it shipped to you. And good on you, Blackberry, for getting a couple of good devices down the pipeline. That was really great. So, our last story tonight is going to be how many of you are racing game fans? I don't even know why they put this in the rundown for me, but let's go ahead and do this anyway. Actually, now I know why, because I have F1 2016. So, for those of you who are interested in the Formula One series of racing games, they have a trailer out now with Born to be Wild. So, if you're interested in looking for that particular trailer, look up F1 2017 on YouTube. That was a complete waste of 2 minutes. I'm sorry, folks. That's one of those things that I don't always have the people put in a rundown. And sometimes parts of this are created when I get ready to do this. And unfortunately, someone put this on board. I normally wouldn't have any problems doing this one, but this particular one don't even have a link. So if you're interested in checking out the F1 2017 trailer with Born to be Wild, it is on YouTube. Wow. Well, they won't be doing that part anymore. This is one of the things about doing a podcast and just starting with everything. not everything's going to run smoothly, folks. God knows we've had audio issues almost since the day we started. Hopefully they're willowing themselves out. We still have website issues that we're getting to the bottom of. And then this. Anyway. Guys, let's just do a quick review. The V30 is going to launch on September 28th after being announced during IFA. The Google Play app, and I still find this hilarious, Google Play is leading the Google App Store. I don't even know how you can download it from the App Store. This is one thing I haven't checked yet. But apparently, it's leading the App Store. Go figure. That's why, because somebody didn't put this one in right either. Disregard that one, will you please? Google Play is actually leading the Google App Store, but it's leading the Google App Store in total downloads. This is when I end up doing one of these. Yeah. You will ignore the first 4 minutes of this program. God. So, Google Play is leading the App Store in total downloads for this year so far. And they're leading by quite a bit. Of course they are. They're leading the market right now. Comcast and Charter may end up buying parts of Sprint before attempting a merger with T-Mobile. And OnePlus is fixing the screw-up with an OTA that got screwed up by another fix from another OTA. Yeah. I don't think OnePlus is intending on doing this, but I'd kind of give them the benefit of the doubt with this one. They squashed a very serious bug. And to bash them now over something as simple as battery life, carry your charger with you until you get the update. That's the only thing I'm going to say on that. That may seem cold-hearted and cruel, but at the same time, they fixed a bug that could potentially end up meaning the difference between life and death. If they fix the 911 bug, great. If the side effect of it is you may have crappy battery for a couple of days, I'm not really having too much sympathy there because I know that you're still breathing. So the S8 and the S8 Plus is going to rose out. They're going to rose out. Yeah, they're going to roll out a rose pink Samsung S8 and S8 Plus. They're going to roll it out in Mexico next month. And it is also the devices, not the color of the device, but the S8 and the S8 Plus are also available on Amazon.com, and it's $150 off right now. You better check that while you still can, because they don't have to have that one for too long. Also, T-Mobile, Justin, I'll shoot to this. T-Mobile also has a buy one, get one free on the S8 and the S8 Plus. So if you're a T-Mobile customer and you haven't taken advantage of that one yet, why wouldn't you? Go get it. And there are some beta testers right now for Google Plus. Who cares? If you're interested in becoming a beta tester for Google Plus, follow the link in the show's description and you can become a voluntary beta tester. Apple paid Nokia $2 billion to get out of a patent lawsuit. Niantic's getting sued for their Pokémon bust in Chicago. Harman Kardon is going to be launching the Invoke speaker pretty soon because it just cleared the FCC. Apple's been granted license to conduct 5G wireless broadband trials because they're tired of waiting on everybody else. Unlock Blackberry Key One, now available at Walmart. Go get it. And one last story. Speaking of Apple, Apple has reportedly invested in LG to the tune of a few $billions because they are securing OLED panels for future iPhones. Trust me when I say this, I probably would too. So, since we're talking about screens, and I've actually had an email on a couple of these come to me, two things. What kind of what kind of home launcher do you have on your phone? And second, what does your home screen look like? So we're going to do this. We're going to test waters here a little bit. For those of you who want to show me your home screens, send a screenshot of your home screen to show@techfilesmedia.com. And depending on how many of these home screen images I get within the next, I'll give it 7 days. And if I get, let's say, if I get 100 of these in 7 days' time, I will put up a contest. This contest will last a month. And I want the absolute best home screen you can give me. And I will display these final home screens. And I will display it on the finished techfilesmedia.com website. And I will have people vote on it. And now this is depending on the entries that I get through the weekend, guys. You have until, I'll actually give you to Wednesday. So we're going to give this to the end of August. Submit me your best home screen. Okay? I will take the 10 best home screens and I will put them on techfilesmedia.com. By that time, it will be finished. This is how we're going to launch the website. And I will have the votes on the website as well. You will vote for your best home screen. And we will tally up the votes. And the winner is going to get a Google Play card. Or an App Store Play card. Or an iTunes card. Whichever one of the three you wish to have. Whether you want an App Store card, iTunes card, or Google Play. And depending on the amount of home screen submissions that I get before Wednesday will determine the amount of the Google Play card. So for those of you who want a shot at getting some credit in your respectable app stores, submit to me your home screens. And we'll see what we can do for you. The more home screens that I get by Wednesday, the higher the value of the gift card you will get at the end of August. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that will be the conclusion of our podcast for this evening, or this morning, or whatever time you may be listening. So, for all of you who wish to know where we are at, we're at techfilesmedia.com. You can reach me with questions, comments, or ideas, or even potential reviews. Email me at show@techfilesmedia.com. I can be followed on Twitter at techfiles or techfilesmedia. I am available on Google Podcast, Google Play Music, yeah, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, digitalpodcast.com, TuneIn.com, SoundCloud, Pocket Cast, and of course none of this, including the blunders, would be possible without the help of our hosting platform at Spreaker.com. Special thanks to Rob Greenlee for all the wonderful help that he gives all of us at Spreaker. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, whether it be in your cars, your homes, or your ears. Stay classy, have a great weekend, and we will talk to you all on Monday evening. Take care, everybody. And don't forget, submit the home screens. Bye.